Narcissistic, manipulative behavior can wind up destroying your life, and it can be tough to spot, especially when it's coming from someone you trust. So in this video, you will learn 5 red flags that someone is doing it to you. You can also use these as signs that you've slipped into narcissistic tendencies so you can cut them out before damaging your relationships. We'll be using Logan Paul's reaction to Coffeezilla calling out his cryptozoo project as an example. I'm not going to go into a breakdown of exactly what happened, but links are in the description. And after the YouTube backlash, Logan did eventually offer concrete relief to some of the buyers, so credit to him for that. One caveat: I am not diagnosing anyone with narcissistic personality disorder. We all engage in narcissistic behavior on occasion. So rather than focus on Logan as totally unique, you'll get the most value if you ask where this behavior might exist in your life. The first red flag to keep an eye out for is morphing criticism. This is when we mischaracterize criticism leveled against us so that we don't have to confront it directly. For instance, this is how Logan characterizes Coffeezilla's allegations.
Where Coffee f***ed up is by targeting me as some malicious, evil supervillain.
Similarly, listen to how he imagines some of his critics see him.
Motherfuckers think I'm out here in Puerto Rico with a cork board, tacks, string, graphic images, going, here's how we're gonna scam. This is how I'm gonna make my $1 million this time.
Neither, though, captures Coffeezilla's actual criticism of Logan, which was much more specific and limited.
Logan Paul specifically got millions of dollars spent on this game on the promise of the technology that he never built, that his team never built. And he never addressed the failure except to blame his developers who weren't paid.
As in most cases of morph criticism, Logan has made it more extreme than it really was, talking about supervillains with corkboards. In Narcissism, we often make criticism worse because 1, extreme criticism is easier to deflect, 2, we're projecting our own self-judgment out as if it's coming from others, more on that later, and 3, because it helps bolster our status as victims and not perpetrators. So if someone keeps responding to straw men of your arguments and not the actual argument, be aware that they may be manipulating you. In those cases, you want to keep an eye out for our second red flag, spending more time on their feelings than yours when you raise a complaint. For instance, watch how rather than talk about what his fans lost, which was the huge portion of Coffeezilla's criticism, Logan focuses instead on his own losses.
I put 7 months of my time, energy, effort, all of it into this project. And when shit hit the fan, it was devastating. It was heartbreaking.
To be clear, it is totally okay to defend yourself and share your feelings when responding to criticism, especially if you take the time to empathize with the feelings of others. That is what George, Logan's co-host on Impulsive, did repeatedly throughout the podcast where he addressed these allegations.
Remember, they don't have our lifestyle, so they're working paycheck to paycheck, paycheck to paycheck. So when they go, fuck yeah, Logan's involved in this, I know it's gonna win because I've watched this guy win, and I wanna be like this fucking guy. So I'm gonna invest my hard-earned money. From their point of view, I get your guys' point of view because you're dealing with a legal team, you're dealing with all the people that did you wrong, but from their stance, they go, how dare you go and open up 2 other projects when I just wasted my hard-earned money on something that I believed you would do.
But Logan didn't do this himself. Even the small nods that he made to his audience were quickly related back to his own feelings.
I empathize. I totally see why people are frustrated. I'm fucking frustrated. I've been frustrated for over a year.
This happens because in narcissism, people experience their feelings as being more important than others. In fact, they struggle to care about the feelings of others at all, except to note how those feelings relate back to them. In your own life, you can find out if someone is really listening or just manipulating by asking yourself the question, have they reflected my feelings back to me in a way that makes me feel understood? Or did they merely say they understood and then move on to their own feelings? This is also a great question to ask yourself so that you don't wind up shutting out people that you care about when you're triggered by criticism. Now, if someone tends towards narcissism, when they redirect back to themselves, odds are that they'll exhibit our third red flag, repeatedly insisting on having good intentions without taking any time to reflect on deeper motives. Watch how Logan does it here.
My intent was to make the next Pokemon, essentially, you know, on the blockchain. It was purely good. I have the best intentions.
I only had the best intentions going in.
He can barely muster the admission that maybe CryptoZoo was a money-making play, but only in the way that all businesses are.
Was the intent to make money? I mean, I guess maybe eventually. Like, if you're running a business, I'd assume any intent is to make money off of it. But like,
in a situation with obviously poor decision-making, if the other person can't identify anything but their own pure motivations, chances are you're being narcissistically manipulated. Because of course, all of us carry selfish motivations, especially if we started a crypto company during peak crypto mania. The problem is that in narcissism, we can't acknowledge selfish motivations because they would shatter our positive self-image. This is closely tied to our fourth point, which is a favorite defense mechanism of narcissism: projecting badness onto those poking at the narcissist's self-image. Projection is a defense mechanism whereby someone puts their own undesirable feelings or traits onto someone else rather than admitting to and dealing with those feelings themselves. In Logan's case, he projects greed and opportunism onto Coffeezilla.
And like many on this platform, you have successfully used my name for views and money. Coffeezilla, I now know your motives with this. Clout and money, good for you, but also you're slimiest.
and he's very, very manipulative. Very manipulative.
Projection is a huge topic that could be its own video entirely. So if you'd like more, let me know in the comments. For now, just know that it's very important to have a trusted group of people that will both let you know when someone is projecting onto you and call you out when you inevitably do it to others. We all do. Now, the fifth sign to be aware of is narcissistic rage. It's an undercurrent of anger that boils up when the positive self-image that we've been talking about is threatened in the narcissist. You can see it here.
Maybe we could have talked about this if you had reached out to me, personally. Not my manager, Jeff, who is not me, Steven. The last time on Christmas Eve, after the fact, was to me.
And of course, it's most obvious in those cases where actual threats are made.
I suggest you use the money you got from pumping your Patreon to hire a good lawyer. You're gonna need it.
The important thing to realize is that just because someone takes an aggressive tone, that does not mean you were wrong to call them out. In fact, anger in the face of measured criticism is one of the stronger signs of narcissism. It means that you've touched a sore spot and threatened to expose something they don't want exposed, hence the rage as a last-ditch effort to protect the self-image. And this brings us to a very important final point. Narcissism, contrary to popular belief, is not excessive self-love. It is a lack of self-love. The narcissist becomes obsessed with their image because it's the most reliable way they have to feel good, given how little self-love they actually feel. They need outside validation or power to compensate for the pain of their internal world. Also, the thing that will make you most susceptible to a narcissist manipulation is a lack of self-love. If you don't have self-love, you won't trust your intuition enough and may constantly second guess if you're just not being charitable enough to a person who is simply manipulating you. That means that the best thing that you can do, both to protect yourself from narcissists and to make sure that you don't slip into it yourself, is to work on your own self-love. I've said it before, but things like breathwork, meditation, therapy, and a whole lot more could be a huge help, as well as having a social circle that you trust deeply to guide you when you're most unsure. Now, if you want to work on building that circle with confidence, you might like to check out our course, Charisma University. It is a step-by-step program for making huge strides in your confidence and charisma in less than 30 days, guaranteed. Over 14,000 viewers like you have joined, and here's what just a few of them have to say. My biggest breakthrough has been gaining more confidence. If you knew me a year ago, you'd see a socially awkward guy, but that same guy had hidden confidence and charisma that has now been unleashed. If you're reading this or listening right now, think about who you want to be in a year. This course will teach you how to be that person. Another young man used it in his school and says, "The YouTube videos are great, but the courses are amazing. Ever since I first started, I've gotten to know so many other people and their friends. So many opportunities have opened up to me. I've been invited to so many hangouts, and it has been amazing." And finally, your course has been life-changing to the point where I wake up in the mornings feeling like I've been transferred to a new person's body, the person I kept dreaming about becoming before I found Charisma on Command. It is incredible. I found myself and I found what makes me happy. And you can see more comments like those if you decide to join the course in the comments underneath the videos. If you do so, you have a full 60 30-day money-back guarantee for any reason, which means you have plenty of time to go through the course, get all the value, see a transformation in your life, and then decide if it was worth it. Otherwise, you can get a refund. So if you want to join, click the link on screen right now or in the description below. We've had thousands of people, men, women, introverts, extroverts, get a ton of value from this course, and I would love for you to do the same. I hope you decide to join. But either way, I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.